What is up, everybody? Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Marvel Rivals. Today we are going to do a quick guide on Groot. This is a character that I see a lot of people struggle to get maximum value out of, and I see a lot of people play his kit wrong. So today I wanted to give you guys all the information that you need to take this character into either competitive play or PvP matches if that is something that's new for you. So let's start off with his basic abilities. We'll go through those and we'll weave in a couple tips and tricks as we go through. So something that a lot of people don't know about Groot initially is just his melee attacks. So he actually does have a 3-piece melee combo. So you can 1 melee, 2 melee, and your third attack knocks up the target. So not something that you're going to use a whole lot because his auto attacks are like a way better form of just doing consistent damage. They're also way better range, but definitely keep this in mind. Keep this in your back pocket because you do have a 3-piece melee combo with a little bit of CC at the end. The next thing that we're going to go over is auto attacks. So his auto attacks are these kind of pretty quick moving projectiles. They are projectiles. They don't look like it, but they can be reflected by like Captain America's shield, that sort of thing. So they are considered projectiles in the grand scheme of things. They don't have a headshot modifier, so no need to go for headshots with these. Nothing like that. Just do some good consistent damage. You also have a lot of range on these, so you can stand pretty much this far away or so and you will still be hitting your target. So very, very important. Pretty basic, left click ability, not super complicated. His right click will be this like lob little cluster bomb. Just does something like this, so it'll explode, do some damage, and then if you get one of the other little cluster orbs to hit, it will do some extra damage. It's important to note too that if you get a body shot with this, you guarantee 2 hit markers as opposed to just the 1. So if you want to throw it on the ground, you can get a little bit of splash damage, but as you can see, I got no additional hit markers there. If I get a direct hit, I get 2 hit markers, so it's a little bit more valuable if you can actually end up hitting at least one target with it and then just let the other bombs do whatever they do. So pretty cool. Alright, so let's get into the bread and butter of this character and why people are probably watching this video. So these are his Thornlash walls. His Thornlash walls are kind of the main part of his kit, the main thing that you're going to see a lot of when you're playing against a Groot, when you're playing with a Groot. These walls have 250 HP, so they're not super tanky, but they are still, pretty beefy. You can see the total amount of walls that you have on the left-hand side of my screen, so you can see I have 2 out of 3. So keep that in mind. You can keep track of those a little bit there. I have a wall over there just for demonstration purposes, and then the wall over here. I see a lot of people just put these down as shields in front of allies, but keep in mind that when you are putting walls here, you are walling off your allies' line of sight. So this ally wouldn't have line of sight on any of these enemies. So you definitely want to be careful where you put these. You can definitely help allies retreat if that's what you're trying to do, but if you're pushing forward, don't put a whole wall of these in front of your allies because you can't see anything. Your allies can't see anything, your allies can't do damage. It's just bad news all around. So be careful when you use these. What I've seen a lot of good Groots do is when they are pushing up, they'll actually put these walls behind targets, make sure that when this target is backpedaling, they just back up into a wall and they suddenly get a little bit confused, panic, that sort of thing. So be careful when you're using these. Don't harm your allies. Have a little bit of a plan when you're putting these down. You can also boost allies on top of the walls here, so you can do something like that, similar to like a Mei wall in Overwatch if you've played Overwatch before. The important thing about his walls that we're going to go over, and it's an important mechanic, is the awakening. So when the walls are awakened, they get extra little abilities. So as you can see, my wall over there looks like that. If I step a little bit closer, you'll notice that these vines and a little bit of like greenery shows up on the outside of it. So step in, step out, step in, you can see those vines appear, and step out. When that wall is awakened, damage that I do to that target will actually lash out and the wall will attack them as well. So if I do damage to this target, my wall attacked there as well. So let's put a wall behind this guy. I will auto attack once and my wall attacked once as well. So you can activate this with any form of damage as well. So if I like left click, you can see my wall attacks. If I melee, my wall attacks, and I can right click the target and my wall will attack. Notice that it doesn't dip off of projectiles. So I mentioned that you can guarantee 2 hit markers if you lob your cluster grenade at a target, but if I lob it at this target, I get 2 hit markers, but my wall only attacks once. The other thing to note is that I did actually get a hit marker from my cluster grenade off of this target that hit this target, and this wall attacked them. So any instance of damage that you do to an enemy will will make the walls attack, and this is where you can get a ton of damage. So in a situation like this that I was messing around with, if you have a wall behind a, like Luna Snow is a 275 health target, if you like left click, right click, you can pretty much delete her instantly. So left click, right click, and she's gone. Like it's crazy. You can do a ton of damage because your wall is effectively doubling your damage when it is next to people. It is also important to note too that the walls don't hit on the long sides. So even if I'm here, even if it's awakened, even if we see these two little vines here and I attack this target, my wall is not able to attack them. So it has to be on either of the flat sides of the wall. So we'll do that, or we can do it on this side. So doesn't matter where the wall is, but the flat sides need to be facing the enemy in order for that to work. The last basic ability that we're going to go over is his Ironwood wall. This wall should not be used in a lot of cases as a big block shield sort of thing. You shouldn't be using it like this because yes, it is bigger. Yes, it is tankier. You can see its health bar on the left-hand side of my screen. You can see it has 700 health, which is definitely a lot higher than the 250 health walls. And as you can see, that's the size comparison. But this wall actually serves a very, very important purpose. When it is awakened, you can see that it actually glows like this orange color. And when you do damage to enemies, you build an overshield. It will build it passively, I believe, as well, but when you do damage to enemies, you build this overshield. And as you can see, my health pool is at 1100, which gives me one of the biggest health pools in the entire game. So this wall you definitely want to keep alive a little bit longer. Make sure that you are building that extra health, making sure you're kind of refreshing the shield, getting a lot of value out of this, and getting plenty of healing, especially if you have like a Jeff or a Rocket that can sit on your shoulders, get that damage reduction, and go from there. So make sure that you are trying to maintain your higher health pool because it will allow you to be a lot stickier in fights, you know, allow you to do a lot more damage, set up more walls, and when Groot gets set up, he's just doing damage in crazy ways. So keep that in mind. Yes, but don't use this. Yes, it has 700 HP. Yes, it's tanky, but again, don't use it as a Doctor Strange shield because that is not what it is. So that is all of our basic abilities. We will go into our ultimate. So our ultimate is this, it's this lob projectile that grabs targets, pulls them together, and then it does a little bit of damage over time. The ult is lobbed, so you can see, that was a terrible example because that bot blocked my way, but it is lobbed, so you can send it pretty far. Most of the time you will be in the thick of it and you will just launch it at your feet and do that sort of thing. Something that I figured out that you could do and you get a lot of value from is that, so your walls also serve as terrain, so you can, we mentioned earlier that you can right click, bounce stuff off of it, and kind of shorten the projectile range. You can also ult onto your walls and it will stick to your walls, hold people up in the air. You can ult onto your regular walls too, so the ult will stick to those. So this is where you can get a ton of extra damage as well. So if we were to put a wall behind these enemies, something like that, and then we ult the wall, and then we are hitting the enemies, our wall is also attacking them. So we can get a ridiculous amount of damage that way. Let's just do it again real quick. So if we do any damage to these enemies, our wall is going to also attack them. So we're going to ult the wall, pull them in, start attacking the enemies, and our wall is attacking them while they're immobilized, while they're taking damage from our ultimate. They're also taking damage from us, from the wall, and you can just delete targets very, very quickly. Something that's also important to note is that the walls can cleave. So we do this, we attack, and the wall hit both targets even though we only hit one of the bots there. So the walls will do a ton of damage. Definitely make sure that you are, you know, throwing your cluster grenade, especially when they're all stacked up that way, because you're guaranteeing all those projectile hits, and you can use your walls like that. So that is his ultimate, super impactful. Definitely use this when you have probably two or three targets, something that's gonna like win you the fight probably. Don't save it for a hero 5-person ult, because a lot of the times, especially in higher ranks, enemies are not going to give that to you. Look for a couple targets that you can easily demolish, and then even just, I really just take Q and E, or Q and right click there, and demolish 2 targets. If we want to show it on a full health Luna Snow, we just ult the wall and right click, and she is fried. This ult does a crazy amount of damage, so use it like a damage cooldown too, as well as a CC target, you know, cooldown. These targets are immobilized again, so your allies will also be hitting immobilized targets. They should be getting free headshots there. So the amount of damage that's going to go out when you ultimate is a little bit crazy. So that is Groot. He's not super complicated, but just make sure that you know when your walls are awakening and when they're not. As you can see, you know, there is that little animation that helps you. So you can look for the vines to show up on the wall, or you can show, like, you know, this one will do a little bit of it will expand just slightly when you're in range. So definitely use your walls as much as you can. Practice this character out. There's a lot of other stuff that you can do with this character, but this is just a beginner's guide. So let me know what you guys want to see from the channel next. Leave a comment below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.